welcome to your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 427. If you're writing a book or thinking about writing a book or maybe trying to finish a book you've already started, you are in the right place. Good morning. Happy Thursday. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh, also known as Christine Inc., Christine-Inc.com. Each day I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 18 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they have the ability to turn a quote-unquote non-author into a published one. Those three things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. Here's today's quote. "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." Frederick Douglass. Once again, good morning, happy Thursday, and today I have an exclusive for you. This is a piece of writing that almost made it into my memoir, my upcoming memoir, The Power of the Curve, but ultimately ended up on the cutting room floor, which is a great lesson for all of us as authors. I always like to have a document of stuff that didn't quite make it into the book. Great to use for purposes later, like this, whether for if you have a podcast like mine or a blog or an email, hold on to that stuff that you cut from your book, because just because it didn't, flow into the book perfectly and it wasn't your best stuff doesn't mean it doesn't have value. Well, you can decide. Here we go. This is from What Didn't Make the Book. For some people, curves are a two-way street. They go backward or forward. But for me, it has never worked that way, not successfully anyway. Whenever I've attempted to put my life in reverse, I've run into roadblocks that have forced me to stop, reevaluate, and ultimately put the car in drive again. It only took me a few times to learn this, I swear. This happened in 2009. I was 6 years into my business, and I thought things were going pretty well. I had a small but reliable group of clients, regulars, and steady copywriting work. Life was a-okay. Oh, a quick thing about me. I'm intentionally tunnel visioned about most current events, or what used to harmlessly be called the news when I was growing up. Unfortunately, the news has evolved over the years into some sort of toxic propaganda, and honestly, I have better things to do with my attention. But sometimes, I'll admit it, my selective attention toward the outside world backfires. Back in 2009, with economic embers raining down from the sky and an epic national forest fire, with no mortgage or a 401k, I was blissfully unaware. All I knew was that my business had ground to a halt, and I had no idea why. I panicked. And panic makes you grab for the most familiar, stable object you can find. I needed to piece together a living outside my writing business. Looking forward to something new and untested felt too risky. So I looked backward in my life to the most secure way I'd ever made a living, even before office work and temping and waitressing. I hit the rewind button and held it all the way back to where my adult career life had been born 12 years ago, nursing. I was drowning, and returning to nursing seemed like the most reliable life preserver. In short order, I enrolled in an RN recertification program at the local community college, bought the textbooks with all the familiar names on the covers, powered through hundreds of pages-long reading assignments, nursing care plans, and classes. Just like I'd always done as the quote-unquote good student growing up, I set my sights fully on the goal at hand, to be a nurse again so I wouldn't starve and be homeless. In this mode, self-awareness, introspective questions, and pondering went right out the window. When a goal was in my crosshairs, there was no time for thinking, only action. This approach was usually quite effective for me, except this time something wasn't right. It felt like I'd stepped into an episode of the Twilight Zone where everything seems the same at first, but then the person realizes it's a parallel world and they have absolutely no business being there. It hit me one day in class when the instructor said, "Now, when you're a nurse on the floor, you'll encounter situations like..." Something snapped in my head as I realized, but I know this. I've already been a nurse on the floor. Followed a second later by, and I hated it. Sitting there in that classroom, I felt like a grown-up trying to squeeze into a baby swing. I was trying to relive a part of my past that was long gone. I felt silly. On the next break, I got up and left and never looked back. It's up to you to figure out the rules of your own life curves. But for me, curves only run in one direction, forward. And that, again, was from, I guess, the cutting room floor of my memoir, The Power of the Curve. It's told a variation of that, but that particular story didn't make it into the book. Speaking of the book, of course, it is coming out on June 20th. If you'd like to mark your calendars for that, to go ahead and get yourself a copy on June 20th. You can get more information at powerofthecurve.com, which, of course, I will put in the show notes. And also, you can download a free excerpt, not this one, a free excerpt to the book, powerofthecurve.com. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I am helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And I'd love to see you in my Inc. Authors group on Facebook and let us know how we can support you and your book writing goals. Inc. Authors on Facebook. Until tomorrow, happy writing.